Hello everyone, Zaid from zSecurity here, and in today's video we're gonna have a look on a really cool graphical interface that allows us to generate Metasploit backdoors and communicate with them and control the hacked devices using an easy to use graphical user interface. We're gonna have a look on its features, and at the end I'm gonna give you my opinion on this tool. Now, before we get into the video, please smash the like button if you're enjoying my videos. This helps push my videos and my channel to more viewers. It will also tell me that you're enjoying my content, which will make me make more content. Also, feel free to let me know in the comments if there are any tools that you want me to cover or any topics that you want me to make videos on in the future. And as usual, use the link in the description to participate in my free course giveaways, and I'll be announcing the winner on our social media channels before the release of my next video. Now, enough talking and let's start hacking. First, we need to download Cage. I'll include the link in the description. All you have to do is click on the link here to download it and download the Linux version because we're going to be using it from Kali. So one click here will download it for you. Click on save. And that's going to go to the download. So if we click here, it will show us the location where it's stored, and it is stored in home downloads. So what we need to do right now is navigate to this location in our file system, change the permissions of this file to an executable, and run it from the terminal. So I'm going to open up my terminal, and we're going to navigate to downloads using the cd command, so cd downloads. And if we list it now, we will see the same file right here, the exact same file that we have here. But before we run it, we want to change its permissions to an executable. So to do that, we're going to do chmod +x followed by the file name that we want to change its permissions. And keep in mind, you can use the tab to autocomplete, as you can see here. Now, if we hit enter, we see no errors, which means that the command got executed with no problems. So if we do ls, you'll see now the file is listed in green, meaning that it is an executable. So to run an executable in Linux, we do // followed by the file name. And I'm actually just going to add an ampersand at the end so that when we execute this file, we get a new line which we can use to execute further commands. So we're going to hit enter. And perfect. As you can see, the program runs. And the first thing that it asks you to do is connect to Metasploit RPC, which basically allows this graphical interface to communicate with Metasploit so that it can execute commands and see the results. So you can simply click on this blue button to automatically start the Metasploit RPC server and then connect to it, or you can manually start it from the terminal. I prefer to manually start it from the terminal because that will allow us to have best of both worlds. It will allow us to use the functions offered to us by the nice and easy to use graphical user interface, and at the same time we'll still be able to communicate with Metasploit through the command line and execute a lot more commands that are not offered by the nice graphical user interface. So to start the Metasploit RPC server, first of all, we're going to start the MSF console. And then we're simply going to do load MSG RPC. Hit enter. And as you can see, very simple, it'll create the service for us. It'll give us the host, the username, which is MSF, and a random password, which I'm going to copy and simply paste in here. And the username was MSF. And we're gonna untick this and connect. So perfect. The cool thing is now I have Metasploit running here in the background, and I'm communicating with it using a nice graphical interface in here. So I'll be able to easily use the functions that this graphical user interface offers, and hopefully they will add more features. But if I wanted to use any features that are missing from here, I can simply go to the command line here and use them. Now, as I said, with Cage, we can do two main things. The first thing is create a backdoor, and the second thing is communicate with a backdoor, which is more useful in my opinion. But for the sake of completion, let's see how we can use this interface to create a backdoor. So all we need to do is go to the payload generator section, specify the payload name at the start. So let's call it test1. Then it's going to ask you for the payload type, and as you can see, it'll easily list all of the available payloads which you can scroll through. Or if you type something, for example, if you type Android, it'll automatically list all of the available Android payloads. Now in my example, we're going to be targeting a Windows computer, so I'm going to type Windows. And again, as you can see, it's listing all of the available payloads, and the one we want is meterpreter reverse TCP, or you can simply click it from here. Then it's going to ask you for your IP address. We can get this using the ifconfig command. So real quick here, if we do ifconfig, you'll see that my IP is 10.20.14.5. So we're just going to set it here to 10.20.14.5. The listening port, we'll set that to 4444, and you'd want to select the format. So whether you want to see the raw code or an executable. Now, like I said, we'll be executing this on a Windows computer, so you want this to be an executable. You can also specify the encoders and the characters to avoid when generating the payload, but we're going to keep this exactly the same. And to create the payload or the backdoor, we're just going to click on generate, and it'll actually show you the MSF Venom command that it's executing. So if you've done my courses, you've seen that I actually use this command in my social engineering course to create the payloads from the command line. But as you can see right now, we're doing it real easy using a graphical user interface. The drawback of this is it again still doesn't give us all of the power that we get with the command line, and the backdoors generated through this will always be detected by antivirus programs because this is a very basic way of generating backdoors. That's why I said this part of the program is not very useful unless you're just doing this for testing. If you want to learn how to generate undetectable backdoors, then check out my other video from the card on top, and I'll also include its link in the description. So anyway, the backdoor right now is generated in this specific location. So if we go to our file manager, go back to home, and you'll see we have a directory called Cage, and we have the backdoor in here. Now, this is an executable. I just forgot to call it .exe. So you simply just need to do .exe in here, and that is now ready to be executed on a Windows computer. So that's the first part of the program that allows you to generate backdoors. As you can see, very easy to use. The next part, which is more useful in my opinion, is the part where you can listen for incoming connections and interact with the computers that you managed to hack or to gain access to. Again, in my previous lectures and in my courses, I usually use the Metasploit multi-handler. So we'll go here, we'll do use exploit multi-handler. We'd have to set the payload, and we'd have to set the options, and then execute to listen for connections. And then when we get the connection, we'll have to manually run commands to execute tasks on the target computer, on the computer that we hack. So with this graphical interface, things get much easier. And the cool thing about it is you can use it with any Metasploit backdoor. So even if you did not generate the backdoor using this method, let's say that you watched my other video about how to generate undetectable backdoors, and you generated an undetectable backdoor using a completely different tool, not using Cage, you will still be able to communicate with that backdoor using this program right here. So let me show you how to do that. You will first need to select the payload that your backdoor uses. So in my other video, I actually use a meterpreter reverse TCP backdoor. So again, I'm going to use the same backdoor. So we're going to do Windows meterpreter reverse TCP. We're going to set our IP. So it's 10.20.14.5 and the port that we want to listen on. And we're going to click on create. Again, very, very easy. Now, as you can see, we have a job and a session of exploit multi-handler. Like I said, otherwise you would have had to go manually, run the multi-handler from the command prompt, set all the options manually and click on exploit. Now, if I go to my command prompt here, and if I just, let's clear the screen first, and we're going to do jobs to list the available jobs. And again, you'll see that we have the job running on ID 0, which is a multi-handler waiting for a reverse TCP connection on our IP on port 4444. So it's exactly this job that we have right here, but we can also see it and communicate with it from the command line. So this is the really cool part of it, because we'll be able to use some of the cool features in here. And if there are any missing features, we'll still be able to use them from the command line. So let's go ahead and execute the backdoor on the target computer, and we'll see how we can communicate and control the target computer from this nice graphical interface. So right here, I have my target computer, I have the backdoor, and we're going to run the backdoor. And like I said, this does not have to be a backdoor generated by Cage. This can be any backdoor as long as it uses a Metasploit payload. So throughout all of my courses, I always generate backdoors that use Metasploit payloads, and we use a lot of tools. So any of the backdoors that we generate will still work, and we'll still be able to control them through Cage. Now, we can see that we have the job running here, but if we click on sessions, you will see that we actually have a new session. Now, let me make this a little bit bigger. And you can see this session is coming from a Windows computer that uses an x86 architecture. We can see the computer name, the username, i.e. user. We can see the host, the IP, the port, the payload, which is a meterpreter payload. If we click on remove, this will basically terminate the connection. And if we click on interact, it will allow us to interact with this access. So again, on the left straight away, you can see the system information. Otherwise, if we were using the command line, we'll have to type sysinfo to see all of this information. But right here, we can have it very, very easy. You can click on screenshot here to get a screenshot of the OS of the target computer. And as you can see, this is an accurate screenshot of the target computer, which is what we have here. So that's perfect. If you click on processes, you'll get a list of all of the running programs. Again, instead of you running the PS command to see all of the processes, you can automatically and easily see them here. Reboot and shutdown are self-explanatory. They'll allow you to reboot and shut down the computer. The coolest part of this is actually the file system access. So again, using the command line, you'll have to do CD to navigate, use the download command to download, upload to upload. With this, you can do all of that using this nice interface. For example, right now we have all of the files in the current working directory, which is the downloads, which is this folder right here. And if I wanted to open a text file, all I have to do is simply click it, and I'll be able to read its content. Again, instead of having to execute a command to read the file. Same goes if I wanted to delete it, I can simply click on the delete, and that will delete the file. And if we go here, you'll see that the file disappeared. If I wanted to upload something, I can simply use the upload in here, click and select what I want to upload. And let's say I wanted to upload another backdoor, for example, test3, click on open, click yes, and that'll upload it for me. And if we go here, we'll see we have a file uploaded, which is test3, the same file that we selected. Downloading files is very, very easy as well. Let's say I wanted to download this GTR image. Again, click on the download button, and that'll download it for us in the Cage directory. So if we look here, you will see the image downloaded right here. You can also see the screenshot that I took. So that's all being stored in here. You can also create a new directory using this button right here, and you can simply navigate throughout the file system using this interface. So we can, for example, go to the desktop if we wanted to see what's on the desktop. Again, you have all of the files and you can execute all of the operations that I just showed you real easy. Next, we have the networking tab, which allows us to execute various networking commands such as ifconfig, netstat, and route. Again, otherwise, you would have had to execute them manually, type the commands manually and see the results. But in here, you can very easily do that. On the camera tab, it'll allow you to access the webcam. Now, unfortunately, you can't start a live stream with this, but you can try to take a picture. Now, I tried this. It doesn't always work. Let's see if it actually worked this time. So when you click it, it stores the picture in the cache directory. Oh, and actually worked this time. So we have the picture right here. So that's really good. And finally, we have also the microphone tab, which allows you to record the microphone for the amount of time that you specify in here. So we have that already set to 5 seconds, and we're going to click on start. This will automatically start the recording for 5 seconds. When it's done, it's going to store the recording in the cache directory. So again, if we go to that directory right here, you'll see we have our recording here, and if we play it, as you can see, the recording works. Now, there was a bit of background noise because it uses the internal microphone of my computer, which is pretty far from me, but you get the idea. This works as expected. So as you can see, it's really easy to use. And like I said again, you can use this with any backdoor as long as it uses a Metasploit payload. So you can get creative with generating your payload, use any tool you want or any method you want, and you'll still be able to communicate with that payload and control the target computer using this nice interface. The only problem is, if you used meterpreter before, or if you've done any of my courses, you'll know that meterpreter allows us to do so much more than the functions that I showed in here. So hopefully in the future they will add this to this framework. Now this is a very new framework, very new tool. So hopefully in the future they will add the other options. If they don't, we'll still be able to execute the missing commands or the missing features from the command prompt. So all we have to do in our command prompt is simply run the exact same commands that we are used to communicate with the meterpreter. So first of all, we can do sessions L to list all of the sessions, and do sessions I to communicate with the session that we want, and we want to communicate with session 1. And right now we're inside the same system. So you've seen that we already have the system information in here, and if we wanted to get it using the command prompt, we can do sysinfo. Now there's obviously no point of doing that because we already seen this. I'm just trying to show you that this is the exact same system, the exact same computer that we gained access to. But you can do help now, and you can run all of these commands that the meterpreter offers that we still cannot use the graphical user interface for. Not only that, but you can also still background your session and run all of the other modules that Metasploit allows you to run. So with this, you're going to get all of the power of Metasploit framework, but at the same time, if you're doing simple tasks, then you can go ahead and use the graphical interface if you find it easier to use. So just for a quick check, let's start a webcam stream just to make sure that all of the features work, and I know they do, just to show you. And as you can see straight away, the webcam stream works right here, and we are able to see a live stream of the target system. So there you have it, really cool graphical interface that makes generating backdoors and interacting with them really easy. But in my opinion, I don't think I would be using it. I am very comfortable with using the command prompt, and I think it is easier and more efficient. It also gives us access to all of the features that the meterpreter and the Metasploit framework offers. Therefore, I think the command prompt is still superior to using graphical interface such as this one, such as Cage. But I still think this tool can be very useful if you're running quick tests, and it'll be especially useful for the people that prefer using graphical interfaces. Keeping in mind that this tool is still very new, therefore the developers will probably implement more of the features that the meterpreter offers. Therefore, as time passes, you'll probably be able to do everything that we can do from the command line using this graphical interface, because they've already done a lot of the work and they already have a really good base to build on. Let me know what you think in the comments. Also, don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed the content and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with the latest in cybersecurity.